The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. Hello everyone. Today, we will read The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. If you want to know this story, stay with me until the end and subscribe to our channel. Let's do it. Part 1. The Quiet Hobbit. In a very quiet and green land, there was a place called the Shire. It was a place of peace and beauty. In the Shire, there lived a little person. He was a hobbit. His name was Bilbo Baggins. What is a hobbit? Hobbits are small people. They are about half the size of a normal man. They do not have beards. They have very hairy feet with hard skin on the bottom. Because of this, they never wear shoes. They love bright colors, especially yellow and green. But most of all, they love 6 things. 1. Good food. 2. A comfortable home. 3. Peace and quiet. 4. The Greenland. 5. Talking with friends. 6. A simple life. Bilbo Baggins was a very normal hobbit. He lived in a very nice and comfortable home. It was not a dirty, wet hole in the ground. It was a clean, warm hobbit hole with round doors and windows. His home had many rooms and a lot of food. His life was very good and very boring. One morning, Bilbo was outside his house. He was smoking a pipe and looking at the sun. It was a beautiful day. He thought, today is a good day for a quiet life. Then he saw an old man. The old man was very tall. He had a long white beard and a long gray coat. He had a big pointy hat and a long wooden stick. He was a wizard. His name was Gandalf. Gandalf walked to Bilbo's house. "Good morning," said Bilbo. He was a polite hobbit. "What do you mean?" said Gandalf. "Do you mean it is a good morning? Or do you mean that you want a good morning?" "Oh, well," said Bilbo. He was a little confused. "I am looking for someone to share in a long journey. An adventure," said Gandalf with a smile. Bilbo's face became white. "No, thank you," Bilbo said quickly. "We don't want any adventures here. Thank you very much. Good morning." He started to go inside his house. "But the morning is not good now," said Gandalf. "You just said good morning, and now you want me to go? That is not very polite." Bilbo was now a little nervous. "I am sorry. I do not want any adventures. Maybe you can try another hobbit for your adventure." He almost closed the door. "You can come for tea tomorrow. Goodbye." He went inside his house and closed the door. He felt safe. "No adventures for me," he thought. "I want a quiet life." He did not know that his quiet life was about to change forever. Part 2. Many unwanted guests. The next day, Bilbo was in his home. He was busy all day. He cleaned his house and cooked good food. He was a little nervous. He remembered Gandalf's words about an adventure. "But he is a nice old man," Bilbo thought, "and I asked him to come for tea. It is just tea. It is not an adventure. Tea is safe and comfortable." At 4 o'clock, everything was ready. The table had nice clean cups and plates. There was cake, bread, butter, and tea. Bilbo sat down and waited. But no one came. "Maybe he's not coming," Bilbo thought. He felt a little sad, but also happy. Now I can have a quiet tea alone. Just then, the doorbell rang. Ding dong! Bilbo jumped. "He is here," he said. He walked to the door and opened it. But it was not Gandalf. It was a short, strong person with a long blue beard and a dark green coat. He was a dwarf. "Dwalin, at your service," the dwarf said. He gave a small bow and walked into Bilbo's house without waiting. Bilbo was very surprised. Bilbo Baggins, at your service," he said. He did not understand. Why was a dwarf in his house? Dwalin looked at the table. Is tea ready? He asked. Well, yes, but it is for, Bilbo started to say. But Dwalin did not listen. He sat down and started to eat. Very good cake, he said. Bilbo did not know what to do. He was a polite hobbit, so he gave tea and food to Dwalin. The doorbell rang again. Ding dong! Oh, now it is Gandalf, Bilbo thought. He went and opened the door. But it was another dwarf. This dwarf was old and had a white beard. Balin, that your service, he said. Good gracious, said Bilbo. This was very strange. Balin walked in and saw Dwalin. Hello, brother, he said. The two dwarves talked and laughed. Trolls sometimes have interesting things in their houses. Let us look inside. The house was dark and had a bad smell. Then the doorbell rang again, and again, and again. First, two young dwarves named Killy and Filly came. They had yellow beards and blue hoods. They brought many bags. Then, more dwarves came. Soon there were 13 dwarves in Bilbo's small, clean house. The dwarves had big, deep voices. They talked and laughed loudly. They ate all the cake, all the bread, and all the butter. They drank all the tea and all the beer. They sang songs and made a big mess. Bilbo ran around like a crazy person. He brought more food and drink from his kitchen. His beautiful, clean house was now noisy and dirty. Where is Gandalf? He thought. This is all his idea, I am sure. Finally, the doorbell rang one last time. Bilbo opened the door. It was Gandalf. He was very tall and stood behind the last two dwarves. Now everyone is here, Gandalf said with a smile. The most important dwarf came in last. He was very strong and looked like a king. He had a dark blue hood and a serious face. It was Thorin Oakenshield, the leader of the dwarves. All the dwarves became quiet and showed respect to Thorin. Thorin looked at Bilbo's house. He saw the mess and the empty plates. Then he looked at Bilbo. So this is the Hobbit, he said. He looks more like a shopkeeper than a burglar. Bilbo did not know what to say. He was tired, confused, and a little angry. This was not a quiet tea. This was the beginning of a very big problem. Part 3. The Dragon and the Plan. After the dwarves finished all the food, they started to clean the table. Bilbo was very surprised. They took his plates and cups to the kitchen. They worked together, and soon the house was clean again. Then they all sat in the living room. Thorin sat on the big chair. The other dwarf sat on the floor or on small chairs. Gandalf smoked his pipe. The room was full of smoke and quiet. Everyone was waiting. Bilbo stood near the door. He did not understand what was happening. Thorin started to speak. His voice was deep and strong. A long time ago, he said, our family lived in a great kingdom under the mountain. It was called the Lonely Mountain. We were rich and happy. We worked with stone and metal. We made beautiful things. Our home was full of light, music, and gold. The dwarves listened. Their faces were sad. But our happiness ended. Thorin continued. A great danger came. A dragon. When Bilbo heard the word dragon, his heart jumped. Dragons were terrible stories for children. They were not real. This dragon's name was Smaug, said Thorin. He was huge and red. He had wings like a bat and fire in his mouth. He came to our mountain. He killed many dwarves and men. He took all our gold and treasure. He destroyed our town. And then he went to sleep. He now sleeps on our gold inside the mountain. Our home is gone. The room was very quiet. You could only hear the sound of Gandalf's pipe. Thorin looked at Bilbo. "We are going back. We are going to the Lonely Mountain. We will take our home back from the dragon." Bilbo's mouth was open. He could not believe his ears. Go to a mountain? Fight a dragon? It was a crazy idea. But how? Bilbo asked. There are only 14 of you, and a dragon. This is why we need a burglar, said Gandalf. He looked at Bilbo with a smile. A burglar, said Bilbo. A burglar is a person who steals things. Hobbits are honest people. They are not burglars. Smaug is a very old and clever dragon. You cannot fight him with swords. You must be quiet and smart. A good burglar can find a secret way into the mountain. A burglar can take something from the dragon without waking him up. All the dwarves now looked at Bilbo. Him? Said one dwarf. He is too small and soft. He looks more like a baker than a burglar, said another dwarf. Bilbo felt a little angry. He did not want to be a burglar. But he also did not like their words. I am a very good hobbit, he said. I have quick fingers and quiet feet, but I do not want to be a burglar. It is a dangerous and dirty job. Suddenly, the dwarf started to talk about the treasure. They talked about mountains of gold, rivers of diamonds, and the beautiful Arkenstone, a great white gem. Their eyes were bright and happy. Bilbo listened. For a very short moment, he did not think about food and comfort. He thought about mountains, dragons, and treasure. He felt a small, strange feeling in his heart. It was a feeling of excitement, but the feeling was very short. He remembered the danger. No, 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 he said. It is impossible. I am sorry. I cannot go. He stood up. Please, you can sleep here tonight. But tomorrow you must go. Good night. He left the room quickly. He went to his bedroom and closed the door. His heart was beating fast. He got into his warm, comfortable bed. Adventures are not for me, he whispered to himself. I will stay in my nice, safe home. He closed his eyes and tried to sleep. But in his head, he saw pictures of mountains, gold, and a great red dragon. Art 4, A Dangerous Road. The next morning, Bilbo woke up late. The house was very quiet. He got out of bed and went to the kitchen. There was no one there. The living room was empty. All the dwarfs were gone. Good, Bilbo thought. He felt happy and relaxed. They understood. Now my life can be normal again. He made a nice breakfast. He sat alone and ate. He thought about cleaning the house and working in his garden. It was a beautiful sunny day, but then he saw a paper on his table. It was a note from Gandalf. We are waiting for you. Be quick, Gandalf. Bilbo's good feeling disappeared. His mouth fell open. He could not believe it. They were still waiting for him. He ran to the window and looked outside. There on the road, he saw Gandalf and the 13 dwarves. They were ready for the journey. They had big bags and walking sticks. They were all looking at his house. Suddenly, a strange feeling came to Bilbo's heart. It was not fear. It was not excitement. It was something different. It was a feeling of duty, or maybe it was a little madness. Without thinking, he ran to the door. He did not take a hat. He did not take a walking stick. He did not take any food. He did not even take a handkerchief. This was very crazy. He ran out of his house and shouted, Wait, I am coming. The dwarves looked surprised. Gandalf smiled. And so, Bilbo Baggins began his adventure. He ran down the road in his nice clothes, without any preparation. The first days of the journey were very hard for Bilbo. He was not strong like the dwarves. He missed his comfortable chair and his good food. He had to walk for many hours every day. His feet hurt. He was often hungry and tired. The dwarves were not very friendly to him. They thought he was slow and weak. Only Gandalf was kind to the little hobbit. One evening, the weather was very bad. There was a big storm with rain and wind. They were in the mountains and it was cold and dark. "We need to find a safe place," Thorin shouted. Suddenly, they saw a light in the distance. It was a small orange light between the trees. "Look, a house," said Vili. "Maybe we can find food and a warm place there," said Keely. They walked towards the light, but Gandalf was not with them. He had gone away for a short time. Soon, they came to a small, dirty house. A light came from a big fire outside, and around the fire there were 3 huge, ugly trolls. The trolls were very big and very stupid. Their names were Bert, Tom, and William. They were cooking a big pot of food. The food did not smell good. The dwarves were very scared. They hid behind the trees. But Thorin said, "We are hungry and tired. We need that food." He looked at Bilbo. "You are the burglar. This is your job. Go and steal some food from the trolls." Bilbo's face became white. "Me? But I am just a little hobbit. They are big and dangerous." But the dwarves pushed him forward. Bilbo had no choice. He walked slowly towards the trolls. His legs were shaking. He tried to be very quiet. He took out his small knife and walked to the big pot. The trolls were talking in their loud, stupid voices. Bilbo put his hand in one troll's pocket. He found a small money bag, but the bag was not quiet. It made a noise. "Hey!" shouted the troll named William. "Someone is stealing my money." The 3 trolls turned and saw Bilbo. They were very angry. "A little thief!" shouted Bert. "Let's eat him," said Tom. They caught Bilbo easily. They put him in a sack. Then the dwarves tried to help Bilbo. One by one, they jumped out and attacked the trolls. But the trolls were too strong. They caught all the dwarves and put them in sacks too. Now all the company was in big trouble. The trolls argued about how to cook them. "Let's roast them on the fire," said one. "No, let's boil them in the pot," said another. Just then, Gandalf came back. He saw the problem. He had a clever idea. He hid behind a tree and used his voice magic. He made his voice sound like one of the trolls. He started an argument between the 3 trolls. "Roast them." "No, boil them." "No, eat them raw." The trolls argued and argued. They forgot about the time. They argued for a long time. Then the sun started to come up. The first light of morning touched the trolls. "Oh no, the sun!" shouted Bert. But it was too late. When the sunlight hit the trolls, they could not move. Their skin became hard like stone. They turned into 3 big stone statues. Gandalf came out and laughed. He used his knife to open the sacks. Part 5. A Safe Place and a Secret. The company was safe, but everyone was very tired and hungry. The morning sun was warm and bright. The stone trolls stood in the small field like big, ugly statues. "Thank you, Gandalf," said Bilbo. His hands were still shaking. "You saved us." Thorin was not happy. This was a bad idea. We must be more careful now. Gandalf looked at the troll's dirty house. Trolls sometimes have interesting things in their houses. Let us look inside. The house was dark and had a bad smell, but on the floor they found some beautiful swords. The swords were very old and very sharp. They shone in the dark house. Thorin took a big, wonderful sword for himself. Gandalf found a long, elegant sword. For Bilbo, they found a small sword. It was in a leather cover. When Bilbo took it out, the sword shone with a pale light. It was small and light, perfect for a hobbit. "This is a good sword for you, Bilbo," said Gandalf. "It is small, but very sharp. You can use it for protection. You can call it Sting." Bilbo looked at the little sword. He did not like fighting, but the sword felt good in his hand. "Sting," he said quietly. It was a good name. They left that dangerous place and continued their journey. The road was long. After many days, they came to a deep valley. The air was fresh and sweet. They could hear the sound of water and beautiful music. "This is Rivendell," said Gandalf. "It is the home of the elves." They walked down into the valley. Everything was beautiful. The houses were light and elegant with tall towers. The trees were green and full of flowers. The elves were tall and fair. They had kind faces and wore beautiful clothes. They sang songs that were sweet and sad. Bilbo loved Rivendell immediately. It was clean, beautiful, and peaceful. It was almost as good as the Shire. The Lord of Rivendell was named Elrond. He was very wise and very old. He had a kind face and deep, knowing eyes. He welcomed Gandalf and the company. "Welcome, old friend," Elrond said to Gandalf, "and welcome, Thorin, son of Thrain. You and your company can rest and eat here." The elves gave them good food and soft beds. For the first time in many days, Bilbo ate a wonderful meal and slept in a comfortable bed. He was very happy. One evening, Elrond looked at Thorin's map. It was the map of the Lonely Mountain. "This is a very old map," Elrond said. He looked at it under the moonlight. "Ah, I see something. There are moon letters here." "Moon letters?" asked Thorin. "What are they?" "Moon letters are special writing," explained Elrond. "You can only see them when the moon shines on them, and only on a certain day." Elrond read the secret message out loud. "Stand by the gray stone when the thrush knocks, and the setting sun with the last light of Durin's day will shine upon the keyhole." Everyone was very excited. "This is great news," said Thorin. "It shows us a secret door into the mountain. We do not need to fight the dragon at the front door." Bilbo listened carefully. A secret door sounded much better than a big, dangerous front door. They stayed in Rivendell for several days. They rested, ate good food, and their clothes became clean. The elves also gave them new food and water for their journey. But all good things must end. Soon it was time to leave the beautiful, safe valley of Rivendell. Thorin thanked Elrond. "Thank you for your help and kindness." Elrond looked serious. "Your journey will be very dangerous. The road to the Lonely Mountain is long and hard. Be careful." Gandalf and the company said goodbye to the elves. They left the beautiful music and bright lights of Rivendell behind them. They started walking towards the high, dark mountains. The air became cold again. The easy part of the journey was over. Now, the real danger was beginning. Part 6. Trapped in the Mountain. After leaving the beautiful valley of Rivendell, the company walked for many days. The road became steep and rocky. They were going up into the misty mountains. The air was cold and thin. It was hard to breathe. Bilbo missed the comfortable beds and good food of Rivendell. Now, he was always cold and his feet hurt. The dwarves were also tired and quiet. Only Gandalf seemed strong and sure. One afternoon, the weather became very bad. A big storm came. The sky was dark with black clouds. There was loud thunder and bright lightning. Strong wind and heavy rain made it impossible to see. "We must find shelter," shouted Thorin. "We cannot stay here in this storm." They looked for a safe place to hide. Soon, they found a small cave in the side of the mountain. It was not a big cave, but it was dry and out of the wind. "This is good," said Gandalf. "We can sleep here tonight. The storm will finish by morning." They all went inside the cave. It was dark, but it felt safe. They ate a little food and then lay down to sleep. Bilbo was so tired that he fell asleep immediately. But in the middle of the night, Bilbo had a bad dream. He dreamed that the floor of the cave was moving. He woke up suddenly. The dream was real. A big crack was opening in the floor of the cave. It was not a natural cave. It was a trap. "Help!" shouted Bilbo. But it was too late. The floor opened completely, and everyone fell down. They fell down a long, dark hole and landed on a pile of rough ropes and bones. They were all caught in a giant net. Then they heard ugly voices and saw moving lights. Small, ugly creatures with big eyes and sharp teeth came out of the darkness. They were goblins. The goblins were shouting and laughing. They used their small, sharp swords to cut the net. They pulled the dwarves and Bilbo to their feet. They pushed them down a long, dark tunnel. The tunnel went deep under the mountain. The air was bad, and it smelled terrible. They heard drums and loud, ugly singing. Finally, they came to a huge cave. In the middle of the cave, on a big, ugly chair, sat the great goblin. He was the biggest and ugliest goblin of all. He was very fat and had a big, cruel face. "Who are these people?" the great goblin shouted. His voice was loud and horrible. "Why are they in my mountain?" The goblins pushed Thorin forward. "We found them in the cave, your greatness," said a small goblin. The great goblin looked at Thorin's sword. He became very angry. "This is an elvish sword," he screamed. "I know this sword. It killed many of my family. You are enemies." The great goblin stood up. He was very, very big. "Take them, kill them, eat them all," he shouted. The goblins started to push and pull the company. Bilbo was so scared that he could not speak. This was the end. They would all die here in this dark, ugly place. But suddenly, all the lights in the cave went out. It was completely black. In the darkness, a bright light appeared. It was Gandalf's sword. It shone with a white, clean light. Gandalf stood tall and strong. His voice was powerful. "Run," he shouted. "Everyone, run now!" Gandalf used his sword and his magic. He fought the goblins. It was chaos. The goblins were screaming and running everywhere. In the dark and the noise, the dwarves started to run. They ran down a small, dark tunnel. Gandalf was behind them, fighting the goblins. Bilbo ran with the others. He was small and fast, but the tunnel was very dark. He could not see anything. Then, suddenly, he fell. There was a hole in the floor. Bilbo fell down, down, down into the deep darkness. He could not see anything. Then suddenly, he fell. There was a hole in the floor. Bilbo fell down, down, down into the deep darkness. Part 7. A strange creature and a magic ring. When Bilbo opened his eyes, it was completely dark. He was alone. His head hurt. He sat up slowly. He could see nothing. He could hear nothing. The quietest and darkest place he had ever known. "Hello?" he said softly. "Is anyone there?" There was no answer. He started to crawl on the floor. His hands touched wet, cold stone. He crawled for a long time. He did not know where he was going. He was lost and very scared. Then his hand touched something small and cold. It was a round, metal object. He picked it up. It felt like a ring. He put it in his pocket without thinking. He had more important problems now. He needed to find a way out. He needed light. He remembered his little sword, Sting. He took it out. The sword did not shine. There were no goblins nearby, but it was still a sword. He held it tight. It made him feel a little better. Suddenly, he heard a sound. It was a soft, wet sound. Gollum! Gollum! It came from the dark water in front of him. Bilbo was very afraid. He held his sword ready. Then two big, round, pale eyes appeared in the darkness. They came closer. A thin, pale creature came out of the water. It was Gollum. Gollum was very ugly. He had big, flat feet and long, thin arms. His skin was pale like a fish. His eyes were huge and could see in the dark. He lived in the cold lake and ate raw fish, but he was also very hungry for other meat. When Gollum saw Bilbo, he was interested. He talked to himself in a strange, hissing voice. "Who is it, my precious? Is it a fish? Is it tasty? Can we eat it, precious?" "We think we can." Bilbo was terrified. He knew this creature wanted to eat him. "Who are you?" Bilbo asked, his voice shaking. Gollum moved closer. Bilbo pointed his sword at him. "Do not come closer, or I will use my sword." But Gollum was not very afraid. He was fast and clever in his dark home. "Let's play a game, yes?" "A game of riddles," Gollum said. "If we ask a riddle and you cannot answer, then we eat you." "Yes, precious." "If you asked a riddle and we cannot answer, then we show you the way out. Does it like the game?" Bilbo had no choice. It was his only chance. "I like games," Bilbo said, trying to sound brave. "Let's play." So they started the riddle game in the dark. Gollum went first. "What has roots that nobody sees, is taller than trees. Up, up it goes, and yet never grows." Bilbo thought hard. "A mountain," he said. He was correct. Then it was Bilbo's turn. 30 white horses on a red hill. First they champ, then they stamp, then they stand still. Gollum thought about it. "Teeth, teeth, precious, we have only 9, he said. He was correct. They asked many more riddles. It was a very difficult game. Finally, it was Bilbo's turn again. But he could not think of a good riddle. He was too nervous. He put his hand in his pocket and felt the ring. "What have I got in my pocket?" he asked. It was not a real riddle. He just said the first thing he thought. Gollum did not like this. Not fair. "Not a real riddle, precious," he screamed. But he tried to guess. He guessed 3 times. Hands, knife, string. But he was wrong. Bilbo had won the game. But Gollum was very, very angry. He did not want to show the way out. He wanted to eat this little creature. He decided to go back to his little island to get his birthday present, something that helped him hunt. "Wait here, precious. We need our birthday present. It will help us find the way." But Gollum's plan was to get his magic ring and then come back and kill Bilbo. Gollum swam to his island and looked for his ring, but he could not find it. His precious ring was gone. He screamed and cried. He was crazy with anger. Then he remembered Bilbo's question. "What have I got in my pocket?" He understood now. It has it. The thief Baggins has it. It has our precious. Gollum swam back quickly, his eyes burning with hate. He wanted to kill Bilbo and get his ring back. Bilbo saw Gollum coming. He saw the murder in his eyes. He was terrified. He turned and ran down the dark tunnel. Gollum ran after him, hissing and screaming. Bilbo ran as fast as he could, but Gollum knew these tunnels. He was getting closer. By accident, as Bilbo ran, the ring slipped onto his finger. Suddenly, Bilbo became invisible. He did not understand what happened. He fell down, and Gollum ran right past him. Gollum could not see him. Bilbo was silent and amazed. He was invisible. The ring was magic. He followed Gollum quietly. Gollum ran to the exit of the cave, thinking Bilbo was trying to escape that way. He sat down in front of the door, blocking the way. But Bilbo was invisible. He was behind Gollum. He saw the door and the outside world. He saw the sun. He needed to get past Gollum. He took a big, brave jump. He jumped over Gollum's head and landed outside the cave. He was free. He ran to his friends. He did not tell them about the magic ring. It was his secret, but he was a different hobbit now. He was braver and smarter. He had a magic ring in his pocket. Art 8. The journey continues. Bilbo ran out of the dark cave and into the bright sunlight. He blinked his eyes. After the complete darkness, the light was almost too strong. He could see green trees and blue sky. The fresh air felt wonderful in his lungs. He looked around quickly. Where were his friends? He listened carefully. Then he heard voices. It was Gandalf and the dwarves. He ran towards the sound. He found them hiding behind some big rocks. They looked tired, worried, and very sad. Gandalf was counting the company. 12, 13. No, we are missing one. We have lost Bilbo. The dwarves were angry and upset. This is a disaster, said Thorin. We lost the hobbit. He is probably dead. And we lost our way. This journey is cursed. We cannot go back for him, said Balin sadly. The goblins are everywhere. Just then, Bilbo walked out from behind a tree. Hello, everyone, he said. The dwarves jumped in surprise. They thought he was a ghost. Bilbo, shouted Gandalf. He looked very happy and relieved. How did you escape? How did you find us? Bilbo stood a little taller. He felt different. He was not the same scared hobbit who left Bag End. Well, he said, I fell and got lost. Then I met a strange creature called Gollum. I played a riddle game with him. I won. Then I walked out. He did not tell them about the magic ring. That was his secret. The dwarves looked at him with new respect. They thought he was just a soft hobbit from the Shire, but he escaped from the goblins and Gollum alone. Thorin looked at Bilbo carefully. So, you are not completely useless, Master Baggins. This was a big compliment from Thorin. Gandalf smiled. I told you he would be useful. There is more to this hobbit than you think. They were all together again, but they were in a dangerous place. They were high in the mountains, and goblins were still looking for them. We must go down from these mountains now, said Gandalf. It is not safe here. They walked quickly. Bilbo was at the back of the group. He touched the ring in his pocket. It made him feel safe. He had a secret power. That night, they made a small camp in a forest. They could not make a big fire because goblins might see it. They sat in the dark and ate a little food. Bilbo sat next to Gandalf. Are you okay, Bilbo? Gandalf asked quietly. Yes, said Bilbo, but he was thinking. Gandalf, why did you choose me for this adventure? I am just a simple hobbit. Gandalf blew smoke from his pipe. The smoke made shapes in the moonlight. I have a feeling about you, Bilbo Baggins, he said. I know you love your home and your quiet life. But I also know there is a world of courage inside you. This adventure will help you find it. Bilbo thought about Gandalf's words. Maybe it was true. He did not feel like the same person anymore. He faced goblins and Gollum. He had a magic ring. He was braver now. The next morning, they continued their journey. The road went down from the high mountains. They walked through deep forests and along fast rivers. They saw many beautiful things. They also saw many dangerous things. But they were together. Bilbo still missed his home. He missed his comfortable chair and his full food cupboard. But he also started to enjoy parts of the adventure. He liked seeing new places. He liked the stars at night. He felt strong after a long day of walking. One evening, they stood on a hill. Far, far away, on the horizon, they could see a single, tall, dark mountain. Thorin pointed at it. His face was serious and full of emotion. "Look," he said. "There it is, the lonely mountain." Everyone stopped and looked. The mountain looked small from this distance, but they all felt its importance. That was their goal. That was where the dragon Smaug slept on a bed of gold. The journey was not over. It was really just beginning. They had many more miles to walk and many more dangers to face. But for the first time, Bilbo looked at the faraway mountain and did not feel afraid. He felt a little excited. He was Bilbo Baggins of Bag End, and he was on an adventure.